Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Labs. So guys, a very famous important interview question plus the same thing you can implement in your current framework also. That what do you mean by fallback mechanism in Selenium? Fallback mechanism means, let's see, I have one login button or any field. If by using the ID, by using the name, by using the XPath, if it is not working, then what is the next strategy? Right? Sometimes what happens, let's see that you are using by.id and the ID is removed for this particular login button. So if I see that I have created one dummy HTML page just to explain you, and this is the HTML a file that I have created, login.html, and you open this login.html in your browser, it will display like this. Now, if you try to inspect this particular login button from here, and if you try to inspect this guy, if you see that I don't have any ID, for example, let's see in the previous build, ID was available or name was available. So what I want first, you try with the ID, then name, then other locators, right? So I want to retry multiple times. The first strategy that I really want to use with ID, if ID if ID not available, element is not found, then let's say you go with the name. If name is also not available or maybe some issue with the name, then let's go with the XPath or maybe CSS like that. If XPath or CSS is still not working, then let's go with the relative locators. That also I can just simply use it. For example, relative locator means below the password field or near the password field, something like this. So I can use a relative locator strategy also. So multiple combination within the one function, I can write it so that tomorrow any locator is getting changed or any issue with this particular login button with respect to locator change, my script will not be failed. My script is having the fallback strategy. If ID is not available, it will go with the name. If his name is not available, then it will go with the XPath. XPath is not available. Let me try the final option with the relative locator. And with the relative locator also, then not found. Then finally, I'll give okay, fine. Then the error or exception I'll throw. If any of them, if ID is available, immediately I'll get my web element from here. Same thing with the web element also, I'll get my web element here. If the CSS or XPath is available, I'll get the web element. And then if the relative locator, if I'm passing, and then the web element is available, then I will return the web element from here. Out of these four strategies also, still element is not available, then I'll say, okay, error, no such element exception, something like this, I will throw it here. So how to write the code for that? It's a very famous, important interview question, very good design for the fallback strategy point of view. These days, a lot of people are asking these kind of questions. So I thought of preparing a video on this. So let's see. So I'll do one thing. If you see this particular page, and we will try to create a more generic function. First, let's see, this is the driver equal to new Chrome driver, and I'm launching my application over here. And then I'll start writing, let's see, web element, and this is my login button. Initially, let's see, it is equal to null. Okay. And then I'm going to initialize this particular web element by using the driver dot find element. So here I'm writing driver, please find element by using what? By using the ID, right? So by dot ID method that I'm going to write and assume that, okay, the ID of that particular login button is login BTN. Although see this ID is not available, but let's see earlier the ID was available. So I'll say driver, please find the element by using this particular ID. If you found this ID, then immediately I'll attach the login button here. I initialize my login button with this. But if the element is not available, let's see today, if I'm running it, ID is not available now. So if I'm running this particular script, obviously this line will give me the exception over here. So can I write with the try catch block? So this will give you no such element exception, and immediately I will catch it over here. Catch it with what? I'll immediately catch it with the, so let me write with the catch block here, and then I'm writing no such element exception, something like this, because this will give you no such element exception. Make sure you are taking it from Selenium. And then this no such element exception, I will throw it over here, and then it will come inside the catch block here. So when I come inside the catch block, then what you want? Then after that, let me just close the try also here. Okay. Now, when you come inside a try catch block, then I really want to try with some other strategy. So my first strategy is that by using ID. So this is my, I'll say this is my first attempt. Okay, using ID. Now, what is your second attempt? My second attempt is that, let's say by dot name. So I'll just say, okay, fine. Then login dot button. And then instead of ID, use by dot name. And let's see, the name of that element is login only. So this is my second attempt using the name. First, I'm writing the plain script, then we will write the generic code also for that. So see, I'm simple say by dot name. Let's see, this line is also today name is not available. This, so you see that. So name, this line also will give you the exception. So can I write another try catch block here? Of course you can write it. So yes, inside the catch block, can I write one more try catch? Of course you can do that. So here I'm writing another catch block here with the same thing, no such element exception. That is what I'm going to write it here. And then here I'm writing, let me just write the same no such element exception, not no such context. And then e, and then here this is what I'm writing. Let me remove the unnecessary import from here. And then again you're writing the no such element exception. First, let's see, I'm writing this is e1, this is, let's see, e2. We can do the proper logging also, e dot print stack trace or e dot message. But what will be the third strategy? So this is my second attempt that we have done. Now I'm saying my third attempt will be by using some XPath or something like this. So here in that case, I'm saying by using the XPath. So what is the XPath of this? So by using the XPath, let's see, a login text is available. So I simply say by using the XPath 2 /, this is the button. And then here I'm writing the text function is equal to, this is the login button, right? This is a login text. That is what we are passing it over here. Or you can use contains also if you really want to use it. So this is my third attempt using what? Third attempt using the XPath. That also you can use it. If you really want to write another catch block is still not working, then you can write with the CSS selector also if you want that. So let's say I'm using with the XPath is the third attempt. So this is the whole thing that I have written, right? So first thing is that this is a first try. Yes, with ID, first preference is always ID. If ID is not available, then go with the catch block. Another name is not available, then go with the another try catch block. Then again, this is a thing. And then again, by using this XPath, it is not working. Then I'm going to write a one more try catch block over here. So this is the try, and this is the closing this one. And then finally, I'll say catch once again that no such element exception. We are getting it over here. Let me remove this java.util. It's coming from Selenium. So no such element exception. Let's see, I'm writing E3 here. And then finally, I'm saying that system.out.println that all the attempts are over. Login button not found with any selector. So I simply say that login button not found with any selector. We have given all the attempts, right? So this is what the fallback strategy I'm doing it here. But let's see, in any of the strategy, if login button is found, let's see, login is button found with the ID or name or XPath or whatever, then in that case, I'll do one thing. I just simply come back here and then I'll put one if condition, because let's see if ID is available. So it will not give you any exception. So my login button, this web element got initialized. So I'll say if it is not equal to null, in that case, I'll do what? Simple not login button dot click on this. And then finally, I'm printing a message here. Let's see system.out.println that I have clicked login, let's see, button successfully here. Okay, simple script. Let's see, we have written here. So what will happen in this case? So if I'm running this application or running this particular code, sorry, so obviously ID is not available, right? So let's simple, I'll put a debugger at line number 18, or let's start with the line number 15. So I'll put a debugger at line number 15 and then line by line, I'll try to run it. And then let's see what happens here. So simple debug as Java application. So first of all, you see that it's a very simple application. It will just open that. And then here, the first time login button is obviously null initially. And then I'm going to execute that. So it will go to line number 18. ID is not available. So obviously it will give you no such element exception. So immediately it will come inside the catch block. So you see that it's coming inside the catch block because login button is not initialized. This is a still null. You see that this is still pointing to the null only. Then again, it will check, do you have a by.name? No, by.name is also not available. You see that here, if you see the HTML DOM, the name is not available. I have only XPath based or login text is available where I'm using in my XPath. Then again, it will go to line number 24. Okay, let's try with the third attempt using XPath. Third attempt also is having the XPath. Yes, proper XPath is written. Then it will not go to the catch block. See, it is not going to the line number 26. It's just going to line number 25 just to close the try block. And immediately it will come at line number 31. You see that here. Now the login button is absolutely initialized. My web element is now found with the help of XPath. You see that I'm getting the object also here, which is not equal to null. And then you simple click on it. So I simply say dot click on it. And then you see that after clicking on it, nothing is happening. This is just like I'm clicking on it and then there is a click action that I have written, just go to the authenticate. Nothing is happening. This is just to give you an idea that it's clicking on the login button or not. So yes, it actually clicked on the login button, and you see that here, and click login button successfully done here. So you see that it says that yes, you have clicked on the login button successfully here. Right. So this is what the fallback strategy. Now, if you quickly run it in the one shot without any debug mode, in the normal run mode, let's see what happens. So it will be very quick. And then you see it's clicking on it and it says that click login button successfully here. Later on, we can, write the proper logging and everything. If we really want to add that also we can add it here. Let's see if you go inside the cache block, e1.get message, something like this, or e2.get message or e3.get message, we can use it here. Right. So this is what the strategy. Now the thing is we have to create a generic function for that. How will you create that? Right. We have to write a proper utility and everything for that. So let's create how to do this. Okay. So I'll do one thing. Let it be in the main method, this script. And then I'm going to create a generic function over here. And in this particular generic function, what I told you, see this, the first attempt with the ID, second attempt with the name, third attempt, let's see, with the XPath, and the fourth attempt also, I really want to use it with the relative locator. This is added in the Selenium 4, right? This is a Selenium 4 feature. Like you can check that before and after of element or below and then above and near element also, we can check that. So these are the 4 fallback strategies that I really want to use it in my generic function. So let's see how to do this. So in order to do that, see this, I'm going to create a function here. Let's quickly write it with the static so that I can call it directly. And then I'm creating, let's see, the function name is, let's see, find element or find element smartly or smart find element, whatever the name you want to give it here. Okay. And this method says that you have to give me what? First of all, that you have to give me the WebDriver. So let me give the WebDriver reference variable here. And then the second thing that I'm giving, one dot and another dot here. So see this, it's like a array. And then here I'm writing, okay, fine, give me your locators here. Or you can write a by array also, you can write it, that's okay. So this locator will behave like an array. You see that, by array. And the third parameter that I'm going to write it here, that, okay, fine, give me your relative reference locator. I'll show you how to use it. So relative reference locator. And another thing is that give me your fallback tag name also. I'll explain you what do you mean by this. So let's see, I'm writing another function is, another parameter is fallback tag name. And I'll say, tell me its position also here. So I'll write, tell me its relative position as well. Right. So these are the few of the functions, let's see, that I have written over here. Right. So this is the one. Fine. So by locator strategy, if you are using it with the 3 dot parameter, make sure, okay, it should be the last one. So I'll do one thing, instead of 3 dot, I simply maintain one array over here. Okay. If you're actually using with the 3 dot, make sure it should be the last parameter. So that's okay. I'm using like this driver by array. And these are the 3 locators, 2 by locators and 1 string parameter. I'm passing it here. I'll tell you, okay, what exactly we are doing it here. Now, what we will do, same thing. We will, first of all, that whatever the array that you are passing, we have to use that. So see this, when I launch this application, right, I have to call this particular function, find smart, whatever the function name is available, find element smart. This is my driver. And then it says, give me the locators with the array. So how will you supply with the array, right? So we have to supply the array of the by. So we have to create the by array here, and then we have to supply it here, right? So that is what we are going to supply, something like this. So see, for example, I'm creating the by array. How to create the by array? You see that here. So for example, let's say I'm creating one new by array like this, and then see this. This is what the array, and in the I'm using the first one is that what, by using the ID. Let's see, the ID is something like this, the login button. This is my first thing. Second thing that I'm passing the by dot name, and the name is let's see, only login. This is the name. And the third thing that I'm passing by dot the XPath, and the XPath of that particular element. So I'll just copy the XPath from here. Okay. So see this is the array. The first 3 strategies that we are using, ID, name, and the XPath. So this is the full array. That is what I really want to supply it over here. So this is the a new by locator, let's see, array that we have created. And then here I'm storing inside the, let's see, the locators array, which is equal to this, right? And this is what we have written here like this. And then the same locators that we have created, the same locators, I'll be passing it over here, right? So this whole array will be given to this particular by locators when I call this function. See, this find element smart function will be called, and the locators array means this, the whole thing will be given to this locators. And then I'll do what? How to iterate this particular array? By using the for loop. So I'm going to write one for each loop here. In this particular for each loop, what should I do? What should I do? I simply say, okay, fine, I'll create one locator. Locator, you go to each and every locator's array element. This particular, so this locator will go to this particular locator's array element one by one, and then do what? And then you write one try catch block here, and then start writing your driver dot find element, and whatever the locator that you have used it over here. So first locator is what? By dot id will be given with the help of login button by using this id. If this line is giving me the exception, then do what? Come inside the catch block here. So I'll come inside the catch block to write what? A no such element exception here. So I'll simply write no such element exception. This exception is coming from Selenium, then E, and then done, right? So I'll say immediately you return. If the element is found, immediately you return. So obviously instead of void, what should I write? I have to write one web element here, right? So in the first strategy itself, let's see if I'm passing the by.id, and then locator, the first value of this locators is that what? ID. If with the ID it's available, no exception, immediately return. Then if it's not available, then you come inside the catch block, and coming inside the catch block, I simply say one system dot out print ln that element not found with what? With this particular locator that you are passing. Whatever the locator that you are passing, I simply say this is my locator dot to string method that I can use it here. So I simply write dot to string here, right? So we don't need to write multiple catch and inside the catch one more try catch. No, because now the second time the by dot name will be given. Again with the by dot name, it's not available. Then again element not found with the by dot name, it will print it on the console. Then again with the XPath, if it is not available, then come inside the catch block here. Right. So this is what, let's see, we have written. And then I'll do one thing. Instead of writing the return directly, I'll create one web element here. And this is the web element equal to that. I'm going to write it here. And then we have to return also. So I'll write the return also in some time. So this is the simple, let's see, once the element is actually available, and immediately after that, I'll print a message also. Let's see, proper logging that here I'm writing that element found using what? Using the locator that you are using it here. So using this particular locator dot to string method that I can use it. And then I'll say return this particular element from here. Perfect. And then I'll do one thing immediately before finding the element. I'll again write a log here. You can use logger also. Right now I'm just printing with the system println. And then here I'm writing that trying the locator. Which locator? The locator that you are supplying to me. So again, I'm writing locator dot to string here, right? So like trying to make it little more simple here. So simple one for loop. This is what we have written. And this is the thing that it will check the whole thing here. Okay. So now let's see after these three strategies, ID, name, XPath also is still right. The element is not available. It means the entire for loop is done. Then still the element is not found by using XPath also. Then what will be the last option? The last option is that the relative locator. So this is my last fallback strategy that try the relative locator. So here I'm writing try relative locator here. So how will you use that? The try with the relative locator. So in order to try with the relative locator, again, I'm going to start with the try block here, right? And then after try, I'm going to write one catch over here that we have to write no such element exception, something like this. So I'll do one thing. I'll just, as it is, copy this catch and paste it over here like this. And here in the try, what should I do? Right now in the try, first of all, that I'll print a message here, the system dot out at print ln that now we are trying what? Trying the relative locator strategy with what? By using what? Whatever the relative locator, reference locator that you have given to me. On the basis of that, I'm going to write it here. So what is your relative locator strategy? That what? Tell me the relative locator position first of all. So first of all, that I'm writing that trying the relative locator strategy using what? Using relative position. So this relative position will be what? Above, near, below, left, right, whatever. And the plus that I'm writing, let's see, more better logs plus off plus using what? Whatever the reference locator that you are passing, your relative locator reference, and then dot to string, I'm writing it here. This is just for the printing on the console properly, it will be visible. Right. So I'll do one thing. Whatever the web element that we have created, let's create another web element here. So this is my web element. And then first I'm going to create my reference element is equal to, the reference element is equal to driver dot find element. And then whatever the reference element locator that you are passing, use the same reference locator element here. And then first you have to create the reference element here. So my reference element is available, right? Okay. Then after that, once the reference element is available, I'm writing one switch case statement here. In this particular switch case statement, what will be the key? The key is the position. So whatever the relative position that you are passing, above, right, below, left, right, whatever. So I'm just immediately converting into the two lower case. And this is a function that I'm going to use it. And how many cases you have to maintain? See this. I hope you guys are already aware of what do you mean by relative locator. So one case is with the below. What if the element is found? Let's see, if you see this application, what if element is found below the password, right? That is also possible. Let's see, if I'm looking for password, then it will be above the login button. Username is above the login button. This username is below the welcome to the demo login page header. So like this, I can write multiple cases here. So this is my case number one, case number two. That is what I'm going to write that, okay, case, let's see, above here. And then after that, we have a near one, right? Now we have to create the web element by using this particular reference element. So how to create that? So I'll do one thing in the beginning itself. I'm going to create another web element here. And this is my relative element. Okay, relative element initially that I have declared. And now this relative element, I'm going to initialize it here. So relative element is equal to what? Driver, please find the element. And then we have to use the relative locator class, right? So if you know what you mean by relative locator, there is one import static we have to do it here. Org open QA Selenium, and after Selenium we have to use dot support also dot this one. Relative locator is a class, and then if you see that there is a with method which is a static in nature, not all the methods. So we are saying we are already importing this with method. See this is a static in nature. So you don't need to use relative locator dot with every time in your code. So that's why this is the purpose of the static import, right? So I simply use driver dot find element using what? With what, right? So here we have to supply the property here, like with what? With the locator. So here I'm supplying what? With the tag name that you are giving to me. So this is my fallback tag name, right? I'll explain you. When we supply the data, then it will be crystal clear. Driver dot find element with what? With the fallback tag name. And then here I'm writing where exactly it's available. So I'll say it's available below. Below what? Below this particular reference element that we have actually created. So below this particular reference element, we have to supply it here like this, and then that's it, right? So like this, we have to create this particular relative element from here, right? I know slightly lengthy code, but this is how the generic code will work. So here I'm writing again, same as it is, but here I'm writing instead of below, here I'm passing above here. And then again, I'm just as it is copy paste. And then here I'm writing where exactly the position of this particular reference element. So here I'll supply to left of this particular left reference element. So what I'm saying, driver, please find the element. I'll give you the fallback tag name, the tag name that I'm looking for, which is available the left of this particular reference element, right? So this is another thing. And then I'm writing for the right of also, and it's still not available. Then finally I'll go to the default, and then I'll throw my own exception here that finally nothing Okay, element is not found with the fourth strategy, with the relative locator also. I did not find it. So this is the exception I will throw from my side, right? And then what will happen? Let's see, element is found. My relative element is initialized. And then immediately after that, I will return. So I'll do one thing. I'll just simple come inside still inside the switch case. Once the switch part is done, the switch case part is done. See this carefully. And immediately after the default, I'll do one thing here. I'm going to do what? Here, I'm going to print a message here, the system.out.println that, right? And then plus using what? Which relative position? So I simple say using this particular relative position here. And then once this is done, I have to return what? I have to return the relative web element that I have created here. So this is the relative web element that I'm going to use it here. Fine. And then after that is still not available. Then you come inside the cache block, element not found with this particular what? With this particular relative locator strategy. So I simple say by using this particular relative position, it's not available. So no need to convert to string because it's already a string. So element not found with the locator, with the relative locator. I'll better write it like this, with the relative locator. And this is the relative locator position here, right? And then again, if you, because throw and break cannot be together, remove it. And then again, I'm writing my own exception here. Let's see, another exception that I'm writing, illegal argument exception, or you can throw your own no such element exception. That also you can just simple supply that here, right? So I simple write, finally I'll write what? No such element exception. I'll throw it from my side. So I say no such element exception. And here I'll say that now everything is done. Still element is not found. I'll say one final any locator. I'll say including the relative locator as well. Simple. That's it. Okay, done. Perfect. And this is the thing that we have written. Now let me do one thing. Let me just comment it out. All these things that we have written, remove it from here. And then we just simple call this particular function from here, right? We will call it. But before that, looks like code is correct. I'll explain. We will go through one by one in the debug mode also. Don't worry. Okay. So this is the thing. Let's see, we have written so far here. And this is fine. Cache block we have written, throw also we have written, and then this is thing. Okay. Now let's call this function. So the function is ready. This is the find element smart function that we have to call it. It says, okay, fine. This is the locator array. What is your relative reference locator name, right? This is what now we have to supply. So what will you supply in that case? So here we have to supply, first of all, that locators is ready. The second thing is that, see this, your relative locator reference is that below the passwords. Password is my reference locator name. So what is the ID for the password? I'll say that, okay, hey, there is one by.id password. Below that login button is available, right? This is how I will read it. I simple write that, okay, by.id and ID is password. And what is the fallback tag name? Okay, so here I'm writing the by dot tag name. What exactly you're looking for? I'm looking for a button, right? Because my target is to click on the button. And what is the position of this particular button? The position of this particular button is below. Below where? Below the password, right? So this is how you have to call this particular function. Supply the driver, supply the locators array, and this is what the by.id password. So this will behave like a reference element for me or reference locator for me. And I'm looking for a button. So I'm looking for a button below what? Below this particular password field. This is how we are using it here. So what will happen if I'm passing by.id, by.name, and by.xpath? First, it will attempt these three attempts, and then finally the relative locator will come into the picture. Got it? So let's try that. It's really working or not, right? So I'll do one thing. I'm deliberately making, because obviously ID is not available for the login button, right? Name is also not available. Now I'm changing XPath also. I'm deliberately passing the wrong XPath. I want that relative locator should work. Okay, so let me run this program and let's see what happens. And then I'll show you in the debug mode also. You see that the application is getting launched, and then nice. It says that, yes, we are trying to find the element by using the login button. Element not found with the ID. Element not found with the name. Element is not found with the XPath also. Now we are trying relative locator strategy using below of by.id password. Using below the password, element is found using the relative locator below. Perfect. It's absolutely working fine here in this case, right? So this method is giving me what? This method is returning the web element. So can I store it inside the web element? This is my, I'll say login button element equal to this. And then after that, what do you want? After that, I just want to click. So I simply say that if element is found, then you simply click on it, or you can say directly, let's see, dot click here. That's it, right? This is what I want in that case. And then after that, I simply say that system.out.println clicked on login button successfully done. Got it? Okay. So see this is absolutely working fine. Now I'll do one thing that I'll just again back to normal one. My XPath is correct. Now in this particular, if XPath is correct, let me run it again. Then it should not go to the relative locator because using the XPath itself, element is available. You see that first it's clicking on it and you see that element found using the XPath. Absolutely working fine. And then yes, we have clicked on the login button successfully. Perfect. So where exactly we are saying login button clicked on successfully done. Perfect. So this is also fine. Now I'll do one thing again. I'm creating the wrong XPath over here. Now let me put in the debug mode. So what will happen? This method will be called. I'll start with, let's see, at line number 33. I'll put a debugger here. Okay. And then debug as Java application. So it's launching the application. Perfect. And now you see that because all the locator strategies are done, right? ID, name, XPath, nothing is working. So you see that here with the ID not found, with the name also not found, and with the XPath also not found. Now finally, let's try with the relative locator. Okay. And then it will line number 33. It will print a message first of all that, okay, fine, that you are printing something on the console here. You see that on the console, it says, now we are trying locator strategy using below. You are trying the relative locator strategy using below of password. Okay. So first of all, that see, it's creating the reference element. Reference element means it's creating your password element because we have given below the password. So by using this by.id, see this reference locator that we are passing, this reference locator is what? The reference locator is the by.id, guys. See this by.id password. And then the reference element got created here. And then we are saying, what is your relative position? Relative position, we have given what? Relative position, we have given below. You see that? Now it will go to the below case. At line number 40, it will go and then it will create the relative element here. So this is saying, driver, please find the element by using the tag name. Tag name is what? Tag name is the button. You see that? The tag name that we are passing, the by.tag tag name button, and the reference element is what? The reference element is your password field. So if the element is available below the password by using this particular button, then create the web element. See this element got created and immediately break. Now just break at line number 41 and then break it. It says element is found using the relative locator by using this particular position. It is printing it on the console. Element is found using the relative locator below and return it immediately. So I'm going to return it now and then done. You see that I'm running it now and now it's clicking on it. That's why this page is coming and you can see on the console, it's absolutely working fine here. Right? So see this. Now I'll do one thing. Let's see. Instead of below, I'm writing above. Above password field, there is a button. I'm saying that. So obviously it's a wrong strategy, right? Above password login button is not available. It means I'm deliberately passing the above. So let's see in the fourth attempt with the relative locator also, it should not find that element, right? So let's see what happens. Okay. So you see that here, element not found with the relative locator as well. With the, first of all three by locators with the by.id not working, by.name not working, by.xpath not working, trying the relative locator strategy, element not found with the relative locator strategy also, nothing is available. Then finally says no such element exception, element not found with any locator including relative locator as well, and it's not working at all, right? So it's absolutely working fine. My code is absolutely working fine. Later on, if you really want to more refactor it, we can do it, guys. But this is the fallback strategy. I can use it here. Tomorrow you really want to supply more buy locator strategies, that also you can use it, right? You can add buy.xpath, you can supply comma buy.css also if you really want to supply that, right? So in that case also we can use it. Let's try that. See, we don't need to change anything in our generic code. I simple write buy.css selector and we need to supply the css. So what is the css of login button? See this, do you have anything? As such, we don't have any ID. I cannot create the CSS with the login. So let's create one CSS selector over here. So I simple write that, okay, there is a button. And here I'm going to use the type equal to submit. So this is a CSS locator, CSS selector that I have created. CSS I cannot create with the text, right? So I simple say this is my CSS. And I'm deliberately writing the wrong XPath here. So let's see, with the help of CSS, it should able to create the web element and should click on it. So let's see this. So like this is something really good strategy. We're giving 4 or 5 options. And then now you see that here element found using by.css selector. And then finally logged in button successfully done. Nice, right? So that also we can use it. Now, what if I really want to give the ID of that particular element? Then you can just simple experiment it that, okay, I can give the ID of this particular, see, just like ID equal to password we have given, right? So same ID equal to ID, I can give it here. So let's see, I'm writing, this is my login is the ID and I save it. Okay, now I'm giving the ID in my HTML DOM. As a developer, I have updated it, right? And then again, I come back here, refresh this, then inspect this particular login. You see that ID equal to login is available. Then I go back to my Eclipse and check that ID equal to what? ID is equal to login, right? This is what, let's see, we have given, and then save this. So what will happen in the first attempt itself, by using the ID itself, element is available. It will not perform or attempt other by locator and the relative locator. See this? Let's see, in the first attempt, by using the ID immediately found the element. See that trying the locator by using by.id, element is found using the by.id and clicked on login button, successfully done. I have to update the spelling of found, right? So this is absolutely working fine here, right? So what do you think about this strategy? Right, this is called a fallback strategy, fallback example. At a time of interview, you can explain the exactly similar kind of thing. And this is a generic code which will work for now any application for any locator. It's all about how exactly you are creating a by locator array and supply your strategies here. And then once, if you don't want to rely on the relative locator, you can remove this particular part from here. If you are happy, you can just simply use only this particular method, or you can overload this method also. That is also fine. One method with only with by locator, second overloaded method by using by locator plus relative locator. That also you can use it if you want that. So you can overload this method as well. Okay. So although we cover these kind of things in our training also, but I thought of covering in the form of on the YouTube also, so that it will be helpful for you guys, right? See, with the Playwright also, I have already written a code here. You see that here. In the Playwright also, similar kind of thing, you can use it. I hope you guys can see that. Here also that I have created one utility function, find element smartly. And I have given all these 4 options over here. Same code, slightly complex in the Playwright with because we have to write the TypeScript here. But again, the same thing here. See, element count is greater than 0. That means element is found. Otherwise, I'm putting the not found with the locator. And then finally try with the locator. I'm writing all those 4 switch cases, like 4, 5 cases. I'm writing it here. And that's it. After that, this is my test case. This is what my test case I'm writing. And this is my application that I'm launching it here. Right. And let's see login button. And this is a hash ID login and login 11. Let me remove it. And then in that case, it should work here as well. So shall we try that? So here I'm passing the, see, I'm passing the login here because this is the ID name equal to login. So in the first attempt itself, it should work, right? And let me write the below the password field. So let me run it from the Playwright also. So the logic will remain same. The concept, the strategy or pattern will remain same. The only thing is that the way you are writing the code in different languages with a different tool, slightly things will be different. Otherwise, rest of the things will be same. So you see that it's launching the Chromium, and then it says that trying the locator with the ID, okay, hash login, and yes, element is found here. Perfect. It's absolutely working fine here, right? Because in the playwright, there is no buy.id directly, right? So that's why we are using it. What we are using the page.locator, and whatever the locator that you are passing, it will automatically pick hash locator means hash ID we are passing. And remember, relative locator, there is no direct support in the playwright. So you have to use with this thing. Okay, I'll push this code in my Git repository also. You have to use the code like this. Okay, page.locator and fallback tag below and then reference selector. You have to use it here. There is no method like, a below, above, right off, and left off in Playwright, just like in Selenium. Okay, but here you have to use the reference classes like colon below, colon above, colon left off, colon right off. Like this, you have to use it here, right? Now, one last experiment with the Playwright. For example, let's see, I'm removing the ID from here. Okay, let me remove this thing from here now. Save it. Now the ID is also not available, name is also not available, and then I'm passing this login 1 1. XPath also I'm passing it wrong. Then I'm saying there is a password. Below the password, there is a button, right? So below this password, button is available. Find that button and then click. And then once a login button is available, click on it. So let's see here it's really working or not. Okay, so first three attempts will be failed. In the fourth attempt with the relative locator, it should find. So you see that trying the locator with the ID not working, with the name not working, with the XPath not working. Now finally I'm trying the relative locator strategy below of the password. Yes, I found that element. You see that green here, and then finally clicking on it and the test got passed here. It's absolutely working fine. And then I'm writing, let's see, above here. So in the fourth strategy also, it should not work. So now in any strategy, login should not, it should not work. It should not click on the login. And you see that here, overall error we are getting here that all the four attempts are done. Still element button is not found with any of the locator here. Can you see that message here? Any of the locator, including the relative locator as well. Perfect. So yes, same thing in the Cypress, same thing in the Playwright, same thing in Selenium. You can easily write it here. Selenium code is more crisp because we are writing with the Java. Here we have to write, like if you are aware of it, relative position function that I have written, and then I'm writing a promise also here with the locator. Yes, you can do it as well here. Okay. So that's all for today. Slightly lengthy chapter, but I hope you guys are aware of it now. Clear it off now. Thank you so much, guys.